There's a town in Pennsylvania where the ground itself caught fire and nobody could stop it. And that fire didn't burn out, it's still smoldering down there. This isn't folklore or exaggeration, it's the documented history of Centralia, Pennsylvania, a place so thoroughly erased from the map that most Americans have no idea it ever existed. By 1981, the US government officially condemned the entire town. Today, fewer than 10 people live there. The rest, gone. And the reason they left will teach you something about disaster, bureaucracy, and the limits of what a government can actually fix. Exhibit 1, The Origin. In May 1962, a landfill fire broke out on the outskirts of Centralia, a coal mining town of about 200 people in Columbia County. Seems routine. Landfill fires happened, but this one had a problem. The landfill sat directly above an old abandoned coal seam. The fire didn't just burn trash, it found coal. Once coal ignites underground, you're no longer fighting a surface fire. You're fighting geology itself. The coal seam beneath Centralia ran for miles. Once lit, it could burn for decades, centuries even. The town's officials didn't grasp this immediately. They tried to extinguish it. They failed. By 1965, state officials admitted what they'd been hoping to avoid. They couldn't put it out. Exhibit 2, The Slow Catastrophe. The fire didn't rage visibly through town like a wildfire. Instead, it crept underground, moving through the coal seam in directions nobody could fully predict. Above ground, sinkholes opened without warning. The earth would collapse into itself. In some places, the ground temperature reached 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You could feel the heat through your shoes. Carbon monoxide pooled in basements. Toxic gases seeped up through floorboards. Trees died because the soil beneath them was literally cooking. Residents would wake up to find their property had subsided 6 inches overnight. Worse, nobody knew where the next collapse would happen. You could step through your front porch. Your neighbor's driveway could vanish. Throughout the late 1960s and 1970s, the federal government and the state of Pennsylvania debated what to do. They poured money into studies. Engineers proposed solutions. Some suggested flooding the mine to suffocate the fire. Others wanted to excavate the entire coal seam, an operation that would have cost hundreds of millions and destroyed the town anyway. Years passed. The fire kept burning. Exhibit 3, The Evacuation Nobody Planned For. By the late 1970s, residents were leaving on their own, not because the government ordered them to, but because living there had become actively dangerous. Homes were literally sinking. The air smelled like sulfur. Children developed respiratory problems. Some families had lived in Centralia for generations. Now they had to choose, stay and risk their lives or abandon everything. In 1979, the federal government finally stepped in, not with a solution, but with a buyout. They offered to purchase homes at fair market value and relocate residents. Sounds generous until you realize it meant admitting defeat. The government wasn't fixing the fire. It was abandoning the town. One by one, families took the money and left. Exhibit 4, The Legal Death. On July 30, 1981, Pennsylvania officially revoked Centralia's charter. The town ceased to exist as a municipality. Its zip code was eliminated. The post office closed. On paper, Centralia was erased, but the fire remained. By the mid-1980s, the population had dropped from 200 to roughly 50. By 2000, it was fewer than 20. The main street became a ghost corridor. Storefronts stood empty, windows dark. The church still held services, but for a handful of stubborn residents who refused to leave. These weren't wealthy people with options. They were people attached to place, to history, to the idea that leaving meant losing something irreplaceable. Exhibit 5, The Cost of Doing Nothing. The underground fire in Centralia was never extinguished. It's still burning today. Geologists estimate it could burn for another 100 years or more. The coal seam is simply too vast, too deep, too inaccessible to stop. The government didn't solve the problem. It just relocated the people and walked away. Today, Centralia is a patchwork of collapsed zones and restricted areas. The state owns most of the land. A few residents remain, the last holdouts, living in a town that legally doesn't exist, driving on roads maintained by a government that considers them already gone. It's not quite a ghost town, because ghosts are something we mourn. Centralia is something we've simply forgotten. The irony right here in this document is staggering. The federal government spent millions trying to solve an unsolvable problem, then spent millions more to erase the town rather than admit failure. They didn't extinguish the fire. They extinguished the town. The coal still burns. The earth still smolders. But the people, the witnesses, the families, the history, they're gone. So here's what we've established. An entire American town was systematically erased not because of a natural disaster it couldn't survive, but because of a bureaucratic one it couldn't outlast. Centralia burned because coal caught fire. It vanished because the system gave up. And that fire, still going, still burning, still waiting. Subscribe, we uncover the stories of places and people the world forgot every week.